and welcome to the Really Tell It Like It Is program, or Telling It Like It Is. It's supposed to be Really Tell It Like It Is, but telling it like it is good too. I'm Apostle Bacer J Baker, who is a doctor in psychology, and I want to remind you of my two books. The Spirit of the Fear of the Lord in You is fabulous. It just came out. And the other book, The King's Will for You, is to smile, laugh, and be happy. That's the culture of the kingdom of God. This book is challenging. This book is exciting. And so please go on Amazon and buy them. Remember, I know that some of you probably missed the Zoom last Friday. The last Friday in every month is the business person's Zoom. Go on love-unity.org and look it up. Look up the information for that. That is for every person that's a business person. We're learning how to get things from the kingdom way rather than the earthly way, because we're definitely going to need it. You're going to need to be able to do transactions in the spirit realm, because this natural realm is drying up. Things are happening that you don't have any control over, and it's not your territory to have control over it anyway. So welcome again. I have my daughter, Pastor Lonzine Lee. She started out with me last week as a surprise guest, and so I told her she would be on today too, so that we could finish talking some things. We're talking about being prosperity and being in God and God in you. So welcome, Lonzine. Come on in. And I'm going to start off with a statement. And Pastor Joe Henry may come in and join us also. But here is a statement that God made through us in the 5 a.m. prayer. We were in God, in you, Father. We were in you before, and when you created everything, when you blew the breath into Adam, everything that you have always, everything you've always supplied for us, that we were still in heaven and in earth. There is the ability to come into heaven and to earth. Adam had that ability, and you have restored it in us. So we were in him before the foundation of the earth, and we're still in him. We ain't left him. See, we have to understand that we have not left him, that the spirit that he created is still his. So at any rate, I just wanted if we start to understand who we are and where we are and how powerful we are, we would shine in different ways. So Pastor, talk to us.
What do you want me to talk about? And thank you for having me. It's a surprise, but yes. You talked first about your books. Okay, so I want to reference something about those. Both of those books, The Spirit of the Fear of the Lord in You, it's a slightly different title from the original. And the other book was originally Smile, Laugh, and Be Happy. And then it became, which is God's Kingdom Will for You. It's God's will for you. It's to smile, laugh, and be happy. And when you look at these two things, it's like, wow, how can you go from The Spirit of the Fear of the Lord to a happy book? But that's the order that you wrote them in. Then they came out the other way. So you actually brought them full circle. It started out with the Spirit of the Fear of the Lord. And then years later, the Lord said, write a happy book and put it on tape. So we have an old tape version. And then when the time came to reissue, the happy book, actually, it wasn't supposed to be. It was a second thought. And yet it came out first to bring us back to the place of the Spirit of the Fear of the Lord in you, because I think that we sometimes miss the point that the joy of the Lord is the Spirit of the Fear of the Lord, because that's the thing that he says, be in you. And the joy of the Lord is your strength, and all of the different things that we're talking about. So you had a journey that I've had an opportunity to, walk with you on the aspects of it. And when you wrote this book, The Spirit of the Fear of the Lord, the coming full circle was something that it's like you actually had to walk in it at a different frequency, at a different level, in order to be able to produce the book. And there were things that would go on through the publication. We had issues with the other book too, all kinds of weird stuff. But there were things that went on because because the words that the Lord has issued to come forth are not words that the earth has been used to carrying. And there's a pushback, I notice, in the realm of darkness because of the light that this word brings, because this is something that those that recognize I am my spirit, I still belong to him. These are the fuel. This is the food that is needed for us to be ignited in this earth. When you have the joy of the Lord, and no matter what comes, that joy doesn't fade because it's not circumstantially rooted, but instead it's sourced in the one whose spirit we are. And then you walk, and we are able to exhibit that because we have that fear and that awe of him, and he in us, carrying us to do what he does, honor his own word, and to be able to come forth and to do things the way that he wants. That's just, it's just observations that I'm making, that I really can see how it is so necessary. Now in this message, it's the mind wants to, as you were talking about, people that like to pretend that I know all this, the Lord already showed me this, and so forth. And it's like, you couldn't have, because it was waiting to be revealed now. And the old things that you had, even if you did have a bit of it, in the same way that all those years ago you had knowledge of the spirit and the fear of the Lord, and all those years ago you had an understanding that to smile, laugh, and be happy in the joy of the Lord was your strength. He said, but for this season, what you had back there is not enough. It had to be done again, and it had to have a change in it. And what is it? This time it pointed to the will of God and the presence of God on the inside. And those are just things I was thinking about, just even about the book titles and the journey of the book. Yeah, you had it before, but the measure of it was something at the level where you were. But to do it now in the circumstantial world, or above the circumstantial world, the preparation for it, that's the first ring. It's the first one. This is the ladder, and in the ladder it takes more. It takes an absolute decrease of you, a diminishing of you, and a merging and a blending, where he has preeminence, and we just get the joy of being in him, watching how he does what he does.
That's really interesting. The other night, my granddaughter and I, we have dinner together sometimes. And sometimes we have dessert. I like to surprise her. And so the other night we had this ice cream, this caramel vanilla ice cream. Well, I like to do what I do. So I decided that I was going to put chocolate over it. So I sprinkled it. I dribbled chocolate over it and all this kind of stuff because, my granddaughter's special. Anyway, but one of the things that I noticed that she and I both did, I should have just bought chocolate ice cream, because by the time we finished swirling the ice cream, it was chocolate. And what you were saying is this: it's a swirling, and this place in him it's where I get to sometimes the place where I don't even exist. I don't even have a sense of me. There is no sense of me at all. There's only sensing him. And I'm sometimes in a 5 a.m. prayer, this is what happens to me. He takes me in this place. I'm already aware that I'm in him. See, we talk the scriptures. I live and I move and I have my being in him. But many people have never experienced that. They're only words. And so it's like, it's like, okay, where are all these colors? And then it's like he took me back, and he took me And it wasn't even back. He just took me and allowed me to turn like this to see the beginning and the words that were coming out of his mouth. I was in him. And so I was seeing it from inside of him. And as the word, and I'm seeing it even right now, as the words are being spoken, let me be seen, let light happen, or however it was that he was saying it, let light happen. It was like, let the inside of me, let me start to release me. And all these algorithms, all these numbers, all these colors, all these different things. So it was like when he made covenant with the earth, with the rainbow, it was just colors coming out of him saying, I'm just pouring myself onto this. So this is something that I'm just like Boaz, when he put the cover over Ruth, he put that cover over her. He covered her. He was her kinsman redeemer. And here it is. He was kin to this earth because he owned it. And he says, I'm redeeming it. He put his kinsman redeemer on it so that his name could be great. His name would be brought forth. And so it's these kinds of things that happens, and their words cannot explain it, but I can see it. I can see these things, but it's like, it's like a place of intimate. It is a place of intimacy. It is a place of this. And it's something that he's saying, I want you out of this world. I want you out of this world. I want you in this world, but I want you out of this world so that you can operate, so that you can operate as my embassy, as my territory, as me in the earth. And this is what Jesus did. He operated as him in the earth. This is why he says, I can say nothing. The words that you're hearing my Father. You're not, it's not, I mean, when people had to write things, they wrote them the way they wrote them. But he's saying, what you're hearing is my Father. How do I know that? Because he's saying, Philip, hey, dude, what you mean you don't know who the Father is? The Father been walking with you all this time. The Father has been walking with you all this time and you don't know him? See, this is why that scripture, as he is, so am I in this earth. When you've seen, I mean, it's like there's just times when it is when you were a little girl, when you were going places for me, you'd say, my mother said, my mother said, my mother said. And you've done that even as an adult, right? Used my name or whatever. Now, many times you don't have to use my name. Oh, that's her daughter. So she gets this. She gets this. She gets without even asking, without me asking. Oh, well, I'm going to give your daughter this. I'm going to let her have this. I'm going to let her have this. Knock yourself out. Go ahead on. Yeah. Do that for my daughter. Okay. Why is that? Because when you've seen me, when you've seen her, you've seen me. Because it's the same spirit. And just as, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to shut up and then you can talk. Just as it is, you've told people before, I don't create sermons. I listen to what the apostolic prophetic is saying, what the house is saying. And just like God has said something, he has said something that is just really, really, really been so powerful. And that's the thing. When he let it be known that what it is that he is doing and how it is that he is doing it in here. And he has given the tithe and the first fruit. He has given every house, every congregation, he has given them a first fruit plan, because the first fruit plan has to be a part of every congregation. If it is not putting him first. If the tithe and the first fruit, the offerings are your punch thing. The offerings is what it is that we get to do. I'm not telling people this because they belong to congregations that I oversee, but I'm telling people this because this will help you to be able to realize that you are prosperity. You cannot live out of a place in which it's something different. So go ahead, Pastor.
You know, what you said, it makes me think of Genesis 12. when God spoke to Abraham or Abram, and he told him to come out of the mindset, come out of the ways, come out of the land that you've lived in, come away from your father, come away from the whole style. And as that happens, I will make of thee a great nation, and I'll bless you, and I'll make your name great. And when you said that, I thought about what you were talking about, walking in that to the stores or wherever it was that I went, and I was called BJ's daughter. That's BJ's daughter. That was how I was always referenced. Well, what that meant was, if, as you said, when they saw me, they saw you. But another thing was that it is, I believe, the definition of God saying, I will make your name great. That every time you're seen, they think of me. It was never about being famous. You're the number one this or that, and there isn't anything wrong with that. But it's the source of it. And what he was saying is, I'm going to make your name synonymous with mine. So when they hear you, they hear me. When they think of you, they think of me. When they think of me, your face might come up as a representation of me. But really, they're not thinking of you, they're thinking of me. And you just happen to be the one that they want to give to because they want to give to me. So my favor comes upon you because you favor me, meaning you look like me, you sound like me, you smell like me, you talk like me, because as far as he said to, what was it, to Moses, concerning Moses and Aaron, you will be as me. I mean, there it is again. You represent me. And so it's nothing, your failure, really, Moses's failure and Aaron's too, was they tried to be themselves instead of remaining who he said to be, because the greater one, it was really the greater one. And so when I think about that, it's, I mean, um, there's a, as you know, most people go through it. I don't really know who you wanted to be like, but a lot of us, we wanted to be, we didn't know identity. And that's where that whole world standard of, so since I don't know what my identity is, I'm going to go try to find it. And I'm going to find it by feelings. When I was, my program last week, Sochi, one of ours, and I were talking, and one of the things we were talking about is, when you're led by your own emotions, then it's going to be flat in the land. But because our emotions are tied to the source of this world, to the circumstances of this world. But when we are connected to God's emotions, then it's a spirit connection. And so we're going to start to manifest things according to his spirit. And it's going to be seen very, very differently, because now we come back to it, because the joy of the Lord is the only joy that's coming through. I mean, I remember trying to get the joy of the Lord. Like, you may as well just been trying to fly, like put a sweater around your neck and jump up and try to take off, because it wasn't working. It's like, we got joy. No, we didn't really. We have joy, 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 but not really, because we didn't even know what it was. And apart from God, you're not going to know. And I read that scripture where it says Jesus exulted, he twirled, he was so thrilled with certain things, but it wasn't Jesus, it was Father. And in that moment of being one with the Father, he felt all of heaven's. I mean, that's earth shaking right there. That we get the opportunity to express all of heaven's largesse, all of heaven's joy, all of heaven's just wanting to, like Jeremiah said, is shut up in my bones, but it has to break forth. And that's what I was thinking about as you were talking about that's the greatness of his name. When you see me, you see the Father. So we've looked into the eyes of the Father, because we've seen Jesus. People, I remember, I'll say this and then I'm done. A book I was reading, and the young man that wrote it, he sees things in the spirit realm, and he felt he was doing his church service. He was doing the mixing board, and he saw the eyes, and he knew that he had just seen the eyes of God, and it scared him. he's experienced all kinds of things in spirit realm, but for whatever reason, he was afraid. And he's like, I don't think I can live. I think I'm about to die. I must be, because I just looked into the face of God. And the old thing of nobody can look in the face of and live. And he said he was like he was hiding. And he heard the Father talking to him, not like, where are you, but saying, what is wrong with you? And he's like, I just saw the face of the Father. I can't. He said, you've seen me many times. And he said he took him on a memory journey. And he started thinking of all the places where he saw the eyes of love looking at him. And the times that he knew that he was seeing into the eyes of Jesus. It's like, well, whose face do you think you're looking at? Jesus doesn't look different from the Father. When you see me, you see the Father, because I am the reflection of him. And that's when you start coming into that, and they tell you, well, you're just like your mom, or you're just like your apostle. The only thing we ever had was fear that the things that we didn't like about ourselves might be the reflection of what others were seeing. But once you start to really come into it, it's not like that. And I think that's when fear also comes, the spirit of the fear of the Lord in us. That's what I was thinking.
You know, we people have separated Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and the Father, as if we got three gods. And that's perverted. That's perversion. There's only one God. And you know what it is that, again, we want to be able to explain it. You know how they explain it with the egg. You know, there's the egg white, and the this and all of that stuff. We want to be able to explain it. What kind of madness is that? How can we explain God? How can we explain a spirit that has always been? When I think of that there is no beginning, there is no end, that God is, and that I am. That's why when I say I am, I'm not talking about me, but I'm talking about me. Prosperity. And then, but see, people put this thing down to prosperity. They're looking for wealth. No, 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 no. You've heard me say this over and over. Until we can live as prosperity, we will never handle his riches and his honor, so that then we can do what it says in Deuteronomy 8, then, because it lets you know the progression of that right there, so that when we are, so that he can establish his wealth, he can do his covenant with his wealth, and then we're going to really see some stuff. But there is nothing by the time you realize that you are, I am, and then it manifests as prosperity, so that then I can I'm handling his riches and his honor. There is nothing hidden from me, nothing that is not at my disposal. Then he says, when you've gotten all this and done all of this and did all of this, in other words, when all of the greed, all of the pride, all of these things have worked out of you, so that you have no need of anything. Nobody you know has any need of anything. Everything that you see that you want to give someone or do somebody, whatever it is, it's already done because of the riches and the honor. Now, I'm going to take you to be a big kid. Now you are a mature son. Now you are a Hebrews. What do you call it? Weos. Now you are a Hebrews. Weos. Yeah. Now you are a Weos. You a big kid now. See, you ain't got to, and you don't even have to use words, because he The brightness of his you know what that you know, the one that you are, the one that's in you, here he is, and he is expressing all of this. There is no competition. Most people are in competition with themselves. See, I don't have any competition because, it's like what you see is what you get. I ain't got time for that. Never defending. I don't defend myself. I don't need to. Why is that? Because I am prosperity. Can't nobody be me. Don't nobody want to be me. I don't want to be nobody else. If I did, then it would be horrible. I don't want to be nobody else. I'm me. Okay, I'm me. Period. Who is you? Me. Who is me? Me. I don't need to even explain me. Okay, I don't need to defend me. Well, anyway, this is it, because why? I am prosperity. And when you realize that, when you recognize that, it makes a big difference. It makes all that. That's my fax machine. I apologize for it. It makes all the difference in the world. And I just, wow, I want to get into this. And I so appreciate you, Pastor Lonzine. You got about a minute or so, but the whole thing of it is it's just, we can't separate any of it. See, I can't be separated. That's why I can love unconditionally. Because I am unconditional love. I don't have to strive for that. I'm just unconditional love. You can't do nothing. You can't talk about me. You can't stomp on me. You can't do nothing. I don't really care. Talk bad about me. I don't care. Talk good about me. I don't care. Because I don't know the difference. And that's power. That's because I live the spirit of the fear of the Lord. Go ahead and take these last minute.
I only need 30 seconds, because really it does have to be explored further. But what you just described is immersion, but it's a melding. It is the I and my Father are one. It is to make them one as we are one. I and you and you and you, I and you and me and them, and so forth. And I believe that what it is that we're coming into a season of desiring to be this. We've come into a season that we may be on the threshold of it. This is all I want to be. This is what I was born to be. And all the layers of everything that we had to go through to get to this heart of the matter. And then everything changes. So it's we're the original transformation, transfiguration. That's who we are. Thank you for this.
Thank you, people, for joining us. And remember, if you don't have these books, then you need to get them. There they go. You can get them on Amazon. I'm Apostle Bacer J Baker, who is a doctor in psychology, and I've been so blessed to have my surprise guest. It surprised her, my daughter, Pastor Lonzine Lee, and Lonzine Lee. So I have to go ahead with all that stuff. And remember, if you desire to give into the ministry, the information is there. I love you. Thank you for allowing me to come into your space, because you didn't have to. Thank you. Bye-bye. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you for watching Kingdom First TV, your station for kingdom inspiration.